32. Dedicated to Lonely Wanderer, George Mateos. On a dry branch which broke off the tree, lonely wanderer sat, and with drowsy gaze he was staring at Brook's bubbling waters. The old branch, a discard from the past, was so swept by a sudden compassion that if it had a tongue and could speak, would have chased off the wanderer's anguish. Long ago, in its distant past, when the branch was awash with the bloom, many lovers would often seek shelter in the coolness of lush foliage, and the wanderer's eloquent verse, where sorrow yielded to passion, it would hear on many a night. But the wanderer knew not of this, and continued to gaze at the water. Brook's clear water, the vagrant of earth which had quenched its inhabitants' thirst, recognized the great poet in wanderer's garb, who transformed mere droplet, a sibling, into shining star on God's dark skies, by the force of his brilliant talent. Brook's clear water, the vagrant of earth, which was never held captive by earthlings, and which proudly carried its greatness through the centuries both blessed and cursed, laid prostrate at the feet of the poet, a submissive and humble subject at the feet of a mighty sovereign. And it playfully tossed him a droplet, that the wanderer once glorified, but it failed to attract his attention, 'cause the poet was wondering why all the bird and the trees sung so merrily, and disturbed the sanctity of silence, which was filled with so much of his grief for the one whom his heart had belonged to. But the birds were aware of the instant, fleeting second that's known as life, and they were in a rush to pour their immortal souls to the poet through their magnificent songs as they longed to remain in his verse. The mighty wind gusted to the scene, capable of uprooting trees. It only brushed away the dead leaves, so their rustle wouldn't disturb the poet's train of thought. It ought to have brushed away wanderer's grief, but mighty wind knew that under fair sky where we are but passer-by, the anguish of the soul is the price for poetry, eternally dwelling in the universe. The mighty wind knew that time will come when the old tree branch which shared poet's grief will become sacrosanct destination of many a pilgrim who'd kissed the ground upon which the wanderer rested, dreaming of the one who poet's lonely heart refused to cast into oblivion.